In December 1683, the cold turned unreal, and beneath Old London Bridge, the Thames sealed shut, like a mirror catching fractured light. 17th century London was already vast. 500,000 breaths crowded this river, then suddenly, had to step onto it. They tested each step, as if walking a border, between life and nature, silent, only cloth in the wind and breath in the air. Old London Bridge didn't just cross the river, its narrow arches squeezed the tide into violent eddies, and in deep cold, the ice took hold faster. A path was roped out on the ice. The Thames, London's lifeline, became, for a short while, a street. Each knot was a reminder: stay to the line, keep your distance, keep the pace. This city was standing on something temporary. Bubbles trapped beneath the ice were punctuation, marks of history, cold, clear, and impossible to rewind. At first, only wooden stakes, canvas, and a brazier. Then smoke rose, the sign that people built home, even where they shouldn't. A lantern flared to life. That small light didn't just guide feet, it turned the ice into a meeting place. Night fell, lanterns scattered across the river, under a bridge that carried houses. A second London grew, on the ice. Today I stand on the bank, searching for that same angle, yet the modern Thames runs deep and indifferent, as if it never froze. Old engravings rest in my hands, ink fading but memory sharp, the only doorway back to that winter. When those lines begin to move, history stops being a picture on a wall. It becomes space, and we step inside as witnesses. Back to the winter of 1683 to 1684, thicker ice, larger crowds. London learned to live under cruelty and still keep order. From above, the Thames is a white ribbon, and Old London Bridge, a whole neighborhood perched on its back, anchors every gaze. Planks go down, lanes are set, barriers tightened. This fair isn't only celebration, it's survival, engineering. Barrels are hauled in, ropes pulled taut, trade doesn't stop. London is fed by exchange, even when the ground is ice. Rope stiffens in the cold, hands burn red and keep working. Sometimes history lives in small tasks, repeated without praise. Stalls line up like an avenue. For a few rare weeks, the river is remapped by human habit. Steam rises from a hot pot and merges with fog. And it's cold. What people buy most is warmth. This is the Frost Fair of 1683 to 1684. A temporary city, no walls, no gates, only ice thick enough and people enough. A bowl of heat for a few coins, a small exchange, and still a way to endure one more night. Wood smoke, baked bread, damp wool, an old scent of time only brutal winters can make. Coins change hands inches above the river. You can feel London not just alive, but operating. The crowd moves like a new current, slow, steady, rhythmic. Everyone knows ice is not land. Some skate, some only walk. The miracle is that the Thames lets you cross London as if on a road. Laughter doesn't travel far through thick fog, but the drift of people and lanterns says it all. This place is living. A brazier glows, hands fold around it, at the frost. Fair warmth feels like a brief promise inside a long winter. Music rises in the haze. No stage needed, just a few instruments and a ring of people who stop to listen. The Frost Fair at night isn't bright. It's dim and smoky, beautiful in the way only lantern light can be. Stalls sell keepsakes, a press, a blank sheet, the idea that you can take a sliver of history home. Look at Old London Bridge, and you see its strangeness. It is roadway, market, and housing, hung above the river. Below, tight arches and huge piers once whipped the water into dangerous eddies. Here, power and commerce met midstream. Ice layers up, light lies still beneath it. The cold redraws London's geography in invisible lines. The ice road leads your eye straight to the house-crowned bridge. The Frost Fair turns Old London Bridge into history's center stage. A craftsman pulls the lever, sets the form, no words, needed just a mark. Proof you stood where you weren't meant to stand. Ink, wood, metal, rough, enduring. London always knew how to package memory in everyday materials. A sheet lifts in the fog, then softens under breath, Like history itself, the closer you get, the more it slips. People queue, patient. The Frost Fair doesn't need spectacle. It survives on presence. The trinkets are only objects. What you really carry home is the story. I walked on the Thames. At the edge of the fair, goods still move. This river was London's main road, linking the city to a wider world. Pulleys draw, ropes tighten. Quiet labor keeps the city running while everyone else watches lanterns and fog. A cook stall breathes steam, firelight trembling, and flame vapor becomes a curtain like time itself, being boiled. A pot simmers. No one thinks they're in an archive. They're just trying to eat and keep warm. Cheeks flush with cold and heat. The Frost Fair gives London a moment to forget the weight of winter. Where stall lanes intersect, the ice becomes a square. A city with no foundations appears by sheer habit of gathering. From above, you see the order, grids of stalls, marked lanes, points of light. The river is briefly planned by lanterns. Near the bank, even a carriage appears, proof that if the ice will hold, London will pull life up onto it. Hooves strike ice and leave a trace, tiny but enough to make the past tangible, like found footage. Wheel ruts point toward Old London Bridge. For one rare moment, the Thames becomes a road between shores. Hairline seams thread the surface, never shouting, only reminding that everything here is limited. The crowd adjusts on its own, slower, rerouted, quiet. The city's experience guides more than any command. A gust slides smoke sideways. The Frost Fair is beautiful because it won't hold still. Light and fog rewrite it every minute. Snow thickens, lanterns warm against the cold sky. The story begins to slow, preparing to say goodbye. Snow gathers on the canvas edge. Sometimes history isn't in the headline, it's in texture, cloth, ice, light. Vendors brace the poles, retie the lines. This temporary city must stand firm until winter finally loosens its grip. Clear iced mirrors, lanterns like glass, light runs across the surface, and the Thames looks both familiar and strangely distant. People drift back to the roped lane, keeping space. No panic, only the clarity of those who know ice has limits. Under the bridge, stone piers stand like monuments to power and craft. Old London Bridge lifts the city and holds the river back. A wooden boat waits beside the edge of ice for the water to open wider. The Thames is ready to return to its real work, to move. And, or crusted with ice, a droplet sliding slow. It feels like winter's sigh before it dissolves. From above, people shrink to specks. The Frost Fair isn't a conquest, it's a brief gift of weather. Late in the winter of 1683 to 1684, lanterns thin and fog deepens. The air feels like a chapter about to close. The ice turns wet, reflecting a gray sky. The fair still stands, but the sense of retreat is already in the gaps. Beads of water are the smallest signal of change. Sometimes an ending arrives this quietly. Canvas folds, ropes coil, crates stack. The city on ice dismantles itself as if it never existed. Knots give way slowly in the cold, each one loosening like the last lines of a long story. Stalls thin, lanterns fade. The Frost Fair doesn't vanish with noise. It dissolves into absence. A final few glide past empty frames. This shot needs little motion, only the feeling of space left behind. In the distance, the surface changes shape. You don't need to see it clearly to know. The river is waking. Small ice pieces drift on a narrow ribbon of water. Gray-silver reflections. The Thames takes its breath, back bit by bit. The water widens, wooden boats ready to leave, trade news, and life begin to return to that river road. From above, the ice-water boundary draws a jagged line. Old London Bridge stands as witness to both freeze and thaw. Where the market street once was, there is almost nothing, only faint footprints, pencil marks on history's damp page. One abandoned stall frame stands like a prop in the final act, reminding us every temporary city must depart. A lantern goes out, warmth disappears. It feels like a period, soft but final. Old London Bridge looks down on the reopening Thames, the city's gate, and once, the river's choke point. Boats return, unhurried. The Thames resumes its role, a corridor for goods and power, where London meets the world. And today, I stand at the bank, trying to hear footsteps on ice, yet all I hear is water, steady and indifferent. Water keeps no footprints, so we keep history with stories and with images that can move again. In February 1814, the Thames froze once more. The fair returned, but London had changed. Its streets, its tempo, its modern feel. In early 19th century coats, people step onto the ice with calm curiosity. Still, the sensation is the same. The river becomes a square. They still want a keepsake, a pattern, an imprint, because memory often needs something small to cling to. And the winter of 1814 passes, too. Frost fairs retreat into books, live less than they are told. A thin stream over ice becomes winter's last clock, each beat a tick toward the end. When water takes the river back, the fair has nowhere to stand. The tradition ends not with a bang, but with melting. The Thames today is deeper, faster, more disciplined, by embankments and flow. It rarely grants the wonder of 1683 to 1680. But the past isn't far. It sits under this surface. In the bridges, the city, the habits we still carry. Look long enough and you can almost summon lantern. Light in the fog, another London, stepping onto the river. I make these reconstructions to touch history through feeling 8 seconds at a time, just long enough for the past to breathe once.